Tony on the radio?
Oh, I've had that.
We're ready, Tony.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Jacksonville work session here on this June the 26th of 2023. I'll call this meeting to order and roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson? Ms. Laster?
Here.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
All right, those being present. Item 3 is the acceptance of the minutes. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions for the minutes that were sent out? Hearing none. All right, thank you, Brenda. Item 4 is the e-scooter program. All right, I'm sorry, sir, how do you pronounce your last name?
Holt.
Holt, okay, it's Holt. Mr. Kevin Holt, if you'd like to come and explain to us what the e-scooter program is all about.
Yes, sir, and thank you all for this block of time here today. I am the Associate VP at JSU's campus, and I challenge my units each year to come up with an innovative program to better serve the students, to attract students, to maintain students on campus. Over the last couple of years, we've implemented such things as the renovated mail center parcel process. We've implemented the new ID cards, Jack card, J card, as well as Cocky Bucks, Flex, Jack's Cash, and thinking of the others. But anyway, we also have oversight of the 3 major projects on campus: in the dining, the housing, and the football operations. So with that, I'm here to discuss e-scooters as one of our initiatives for the upcoming year, as I attempt to bring another innovative program onto our campus. And being that the JSU campus touches the city, I'm here to talk about the opportunities of collaborating and moving forward with the program as we start our review process, and hopefully the city will be a part of that review process as well. So we just initiated the review process a few weeks ago. We believe collaboratively it will be a great program here for our campus. As it does touch the city, we're looking for feedback and in a collaborative way in order to make this project successful to better serve our students here on campus.
Who all has been a part of that process so far, Dr. Holt?
So far, we've put a small task force together that includes Chief Barton, Chief Wood,
Okay.
Mark here as well, and a few other individuals from campus.
Because those are some of the minds that I was thinking about from the city side that might be part of that. So
Right.
one step ahead.
Say it again.
I said you're one step ahead of me.
Thank you. But
So-
nevertheless, we're just starting this process, and so we're looking at several other institutions and how they implemented their program as well.
The only really concern I have, I think it'd be an excellent idea, but I believe I had a conversation with Mark, and I don't think I had the same conversation with the chief or not, is the infrastructure there, or the sidewalks there, is the mode to which those will be traveling on, and is there anything, what can we do to make that easier transition?
Exactly, and that's part of our review process as well. We do have some flexibility where we can limit the travel of those scooters by the programming part of it. So we have a good bit to learn as we're just now starting. And that's part of the discussion that we had in our first meeting.
Before I came onto the council, in a role that I had at Jack State was the bike share agreement.
Mhm.
You remember
Mhm.
VO Ride, and I know Mark, we worked on that pretty extensively, but I hated it when that pulled out. I thought that was a really good thing for the city of Jacksonville, JSU, Anniston, Oxford were all involved with that. But when they pulled out, they put all their resources, if I remember, into electric scooters, just as a mode of transportation that was more feasible for many of those companies. And there's really not many there's a few bike shares that are still around. I think we looked into a few others, didn't we, Mark?
Yes, sir.
But they're not, I don't know if they're not profitable for that yet or not, but I do know there are a lot of programs that are around that should probably help. I don't know if there's any that are agreements like what we had that were between a city and university, but
Right.
I would think this collaborative process might need to, there's so much involved between city and university on some rights of way. I mean, all of Mountain Street,
Mhm.
you know, that's right there next to campus. Forney Avenue, I mean, I'm trying to think of all the city streets, and then, of course, we have the state highway right there in the middle of it.
Right. One thing we recognize as well, Mr. Green, is that as we started those three major projects on campus, parking
Mhm.
will be a little more of a challenge on campus, and we believe that implementing this e-scooter program will help alleviate some of the traffic flow and the parking issues that we anticipate having moving toward the fall.
So a theoretical student maybe has a vehicle and personal scooter, or they could rent a scooter, maybe if this is what this program would be.
Right,
So then that vehicle stays parked,
right.
and as they're traversing to and from class and back to residence hall to dining, wherever they are, they're not driving as
Exactly.
much as they might be. Okay.
I got a
I
question.
think that'll help.
Yes.
Would it be just limited to the JSU students, or could the citizens?
That's a great question. And our initial thought process was for the JSU students, but of course, we're happy to evaluate how it can go even further. I think you'll find in some of the major cities that these scooters are out and about and are being used by the citizens of that city, and taking full advantage of the opportunities. I know as a program in Montgomery, I'm aware of, Birmingham, as well as, of course, Atlanta. And I know those are major cities, but I also believe the major cities can pull it off, so can Jacksonville, Alabama.
Yeah. Mark, it sounded like you were going to say something.
Yeah, you know, one of the differences between the bike share program and the scooter program is the bike share program, the bicycles could not be on the sidewalk, they had to be on the streets. With the scooter program, they're not street legal, so they have to be on the sidewalks. And currently, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, we would have to change an ordinance, because we have an ordinance that says no motorized vehicles on sidewalks. So.
I know
it's
somebody,
kind of-
maybe.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, the issue is that even if we were to get to that point, I don't think we have the infrastructure set up for them to operate on sidewalks. If we do that, we'd have to increase the width of the sidewalk.
And modify an ordinance if they were to operate legally. Well, I know there's some that are operating already on sidewalks, so it's just an enforcement. I mean, I think the speed limit coming out of our neighborhood was 25. I might have went over that on the way here, but it wasn't enforced, so, I mean, you know, it's, but, you can write me a ticket later on that. But I know, I think that ordinance is probably there for a good reason, to keep motorcycles, or I don't know, you know, four-wheelers or golf carts or anything like that off of the sidewalk, so.
Well, there's not enough room for a pedestrian in another, like a motorized vehicle
Yeah.
to cross the path.
So I would ask the council to allow us to continue our review with members from the city to see what the possibilities are, and to address those issues early on before going any further.
I do believe we'll all have an open mind, be interested to see how this plays out. Anytime you need to come before the council, we're here for you, and you've got a good group of people in Jacksonville working with you, so anything you need from us, just let us know, we'll try to do our best.
Will do, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Dr.
Thank
Holt.
you.
Yep.
All right, item 5 is an additional police position, Chief Wood.
All right, good evening.
Good.
So our request comes from a position of, right now, we want to add an additional police officer position to promote another person to investigations. And primarily because our sergeant over investigations is not only supervising, but he's also carrying a caseload as well. So that hampers him a whole lot in the sense of, you know, his job is to supervise, but also help. We know that investigators have complex cases, but when he goes and helps them, it takes away from him being able to work his caseload, therefore getting more extra cases added to him not being in touch with victims, and just not providing the level of service that we would like to continue to provide to the citizens. But then also think it's unfair to him. he's not being able to supervise his employees adequately. So when it comes time to evaluation time, he hasn't had an opportunity to supervise those employees and give them a fair evaluation. So we'd like to add somebody to investigations to be able to take care of that caseload, and he could adequately supervise and be able to spread his time around amongst all of the investigators that he supervises, and then also be able to go and help them with those complex cases when those cases happen. And so just trying to be fair and continue to provide that level of service in investigations, so we have investigators that were paying attention and being able to work that caseload that they have, and allow him to be able to supervise and do the things he needs to do to be able to train, supervise, and look after those investigators as they're working their cases.
So you'll still have 3 investigators, but then you'd have three investigators with a supervisor that's also an investigator.
Correct, yes, sir.
But then that will be adding, you'll have to replace, if you do make that promotion, you'll have to promote all the way up. So that'd actually be a new hire,
Yes, sir.
So the anticipation is 1 new personnel line.
Correct, so we would add an investigator to the investigations division, but then adding the new position would be able to replace the officer that's leaving patrol.
Gotcha. So it's patrol is what would be,
Correct,
or you would backfill.
correct.
Okay.
What would that cost?
I was gonna say Terry's not here, so
No.
where's the money?
That's what I just said, that's why I asked for it, and Terry wasn't here.
So-
I'm sorry, did I overstep, Sherry? I'm
I
sorry.
know, no, y'all just
Yeah,
giving them
it's that
time.
I apologize.
Mark, where's the money?
So the salary range, both of those positions are in range 18. And so starting a brand new officer at range 18, step 1, with salary and benefits would be $56,183. And so we did a range from step 1 to step 5, and at step 5 is $61,623. So we anticipate, you know, if we hired an investigator, of course, he's gonna be somebody that would be more than the 1 step, but moving somebody in, whether he's certified or non-certified, would be in between that range starting off.
That would put your total staff to what numbers?
37 total,
37 total.
37 sworn.
Sworn officers. Yeah, that's not dispatchers or okay.
That would put it at 37, you're at 36.
Right now we're at 36 sworn officers, adding 1 would be 37.
How does that compare to maybe cities of comparable size, or, I mean, I know you can't always apples to apples, but
We've done a study a couple of months ago, probably less than 6 months ago, just kind of comparing agencies to our size. And they vary. Compare somebody like Leeds, who has a population size similar to ours, but Leeds has an interstate running through it, so they are almost double what our agency is. So it just depends on, I guess, revenue and how that compares. We've got it studied out, and we looked at it probably less than 6 months, so we've got some fairly new numbers that I just don't have it in front of me.
Any questions for Chief? So you got an investigator there in the back. What's he doing right now, other than just sitting?
That's the sergeant.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Is this for like now, or is this for?
I'm assuming for
budget time?
upcoming
is this
budget year?
October, or is this?
Yeah, like what's the time frame?
So there's 2 methods of thought. So
So I assumed incorrectly, did I?
trying to do it now with the anticipation of when we get ready to prepare for the budget, it would be already in the budget and not having to add anything to the budget at that time.
He didn't even wear a stark shirt. He
I
said
know.
this
He's
in-
got us whooped. I mean, he
Yeah.
just knows he doesn't have to dress up anymore.
I got it in my office. I'm gonna put it on.
We'll be here.
Wait, can we have a timeout? I didn't hear you answer Sherry's question.
What's that?
Where's the money coming from?
No, he just said how much it cost. He didn't say where it came from, where it's coming from.
It's coming from the money tree, that wherever it's at.
When they
Well,
were-
I hate that we have so much going on that you have to have another investigator, but I do understand that the workload's important. You've got to manage that workload, especially trying to supervise and how that same workload, you know, I know he's a very good sergeant and he does the job very well, but you just can't handle that without the correct supervision. That things just work much better that way.
In all honesty, this is not something that Sergeant Johnson asked for. This is something that, you know, we've been paying attention to and thought that we would better serve him and the people he supervises and the citizens by trying to ensure he had adequate help to work that caseload that they have.
Of the current investigation staff, how many have completed the investigator academy?
Stronger feeling? He's in it right now.
He has one makeup, so he's been through it all, but he has one block.
So we got
I
two
got
out
you.
of,
So
got
they'll have
two out of,
another 2 read,
yeah, 2 out of the 3.
or,
Yes, 2 out of 3 are complete, but soon to be a third.
Okay.
Right.
and that's not mandated yet by APOS,
No, it's not mandated yet.
but we know it might be coming.
Correct.
Well, I don't know where the money's coming from. I've not
Well,
looked.
well, I mean, we don't have to act on this tonight. We just,
No.
the information's here. We can look at it and maybe have a decision by next council meeting.
Yeah, I mean,
And crunch the numbers and see, I know Ms. Burt's already working on next year's budget. So, just kind of see where we're at and numbers increase. Once again, I hate that it's needed, but I think it's needed.
well, yeah, one of the most challenging things, and I'm sure Matt can attest to this, is when someone's been the victim of a crime and you're not able to give them answers in a time frame that they want them in, just because of the time process for investigation, that it requires time.
Right.
Information is out there, it's just you gotta find it. And, you know, when someone's a victim of a crime, they want immediate. And it's unfortunate that can't always happen, but if you can speed it up a little bit by reducing caseload and workload and those things, I think that's a service. It is a service to the citizen. And you yourself were
I was gonna suggest
They still
that.
hadn't heard anything since October.
I know.
I understand completely.
Anything else? Right, Chief, I heard you were gonna, get us updated on the well too.
Yeah, so the well is in, and we are waiting on quotes for the well pump house. But because of the way that it was made up, we wanted to make sure that we had a way to still pump water into the lake. So we've had an electrician. When we go back outside, you see the big generator sitting out there. So we do have a way to get power to the well pump to be able to cut it on and run water into the lake if it gets down low again to where we can do that. So once we are able to get that quote in for the well house and the concrete pad, then we've been told that he can get that up within less than a week and be able to get that well pump house.
So we do currently have the capabilities to put water into
Yes, sir,
the,
we do.
so we'll probably find out by the end of the week. They'll need that when it gets to
Well, yeah, by
100
Friday.
degree, yeah, by Friday, we'll probably have to use that for the first time. That's great, that's great. Any questions? No, good. Nothing. How's the fish?
Fish are good. We've been dying to try to kill some of the grass in there, but fish are good. I think they're doing a pretty good job at eating that grass and moss out of the bottom of it.
That's good.
We still have kind of getting off topic here. We have any plans on a fish rodeo or anything like that?
Yes,
Dates?
sir. We haven't started really advertising it yet. We will in the next probably week or so, but right now we got a tentative date of September the 30th on having a fishing rodeo.
Okay.
And we're gonna need some money for that too. Just a little.
You'll have Marcus ask for it.
I'm not asking for it, yeah.
Have you ever heard of seaward?
That's great. Once again, thank you all, and thank you, Chief, that, when we first got in the office here, we always thought what we're losing a great opportunity, especially to get kids and involvement in the city. What kid doesn't like to fish, or what kid doesn't need to know how to fish? If we can do just something like that, and with the keeping water, thanks to Mark and others, that now we can maintain some level of water, keep fishing there alive. I think it'd be a great opportunity, great something for people to do in Jacksonville.
I think if you drive by on any day, anywhere from about 6:30 a.m. till about 7:30, 8 o'clock p.m., you'll see there's a great number of people who visit and fish, and I think they really.
What was a miracle? People was catching fish in there before we even placed fish in there. officially placed fish in there.
Yes.
Because I actually walked by one day and I said, "What are you doing?" They said, "We're fishing." I said, "You can't catch any fish in here." And sure enough, they pulled a little small.
I'll show you pictures of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes people call you out when you're fishing, right?
They will.
My son was hollering at Chief Wood for fishing.
Anything else? Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other business? Mark, Chief, you want us to go first? Since you're here.
Visual aids.
Let's draw my crayons this time. We were awarded, the good news is, we were awarded an AFG grant Friday afternoon in the amount of $190,430 to put in a diesel exhaust system. If you look at this single piece of paper, this is station 1 here. It has a diesel exhaust system, those gray boxes that you see. The problem is, an exhaust system is 18 inches off the ground, a firefighter's 6 feet roughly, and the filters are 10 to 12 feet in the air. So we have to breathe it before it actually goes to the filtration system. Once it filtrates it, it's probably good, but the truck continues to make new particulates and diesel. So in the fire department, diesel particulates and inhaling diesel smoke and being exposed to diesel smoke is causing a high number of cancer. Non-cancer is still the #1 killer of firefighters after heart attacks. So what we put in for was a grant that looks more like what's stapled together here. It would actually be hoses that connect to the truck through a vacuum system of piping that runs through the ceilings. When the truck's running, it's capturing all the smoke and all the particulates and evacuating them to the outside of the building. On that page 2, you can see where a hose is hooked to an exhaust system, where it totally seals on the exhaust pipe and captures. And then the ones that we're looking at slide on a track. The truck would actually stay hooked up while it's exiting the bay door. Once it reaches a certain point on the track, a magnet lets go, lets the hose go, the truck proceeds on out. And then the fourth page there just kind of gives you an illustration of the piping that might be put in, something similar to that, with whatever number of apparatus we determine it needs to be. Here's the kicker: we got 190,000, and once we put our match, we'll have 100,000 per station. It's going to cost much more than that. The government will only give you 100,000 per station. So we may have to add about 100,000 to it to get both of our stations done. Now, the fire tax could absorb that, but I'd rather go to that fund where the police is coming. When y'all find that, look.
I never found out what that was.
That's a mystery fund.
We
But,
need to get Indiana Jones back in here and see if we can find the missing.
so I have not accepted this grant since there would be a commitment from y'all to add to that. And I'm hoping we could get it done for an additional 100,000. I got a guy coming to give me a quote. I don't have to accept this grant till July 23rd. And I'm hoping to get a quote in the meantime. I'm hoping that it's less than the 100,000. Surely hoping it's not anymore. But it's something that I think we need to do. I know money's tight, but the other fire station, the old fire station, has no vehicle emission control there. It just goes out into the bay, gets in the turnout gear, gets in the insulation, whatever. There's no way to capture it there at all.
So you would not be tying into this existing exhaust
No,
system?
that would be discarded.
So air vac would go out?
Right.
Is that just discarded, or is there any?
We might could sell those. I
Resell.
mentioned today, maybe you could put them in at the street department or,
you know, where you have to run something for, you know, inside a building for, you know, we're working on the vehicles, you can't help it. You know, or hard even with lawnmowers or whatever.
Well, you could still use that as a redundancy, kind of
And we might
what we did in
do that.
Anniston, we kind of had them both when we built Station 3. I don't think they're used all the time or used properly, but that, I know that's needed, and you know better than I that that is a serious issue with the fire service is cancer. And I hate to put a dollar sign on health and safety, but that's what we have, I mean, that's what we'll have to do. So the project, so have you had estimates on purchase and install this, or are we waiting on the estimates
We're waiting on that.
for both here and
Right.
Station 3?
I'm hoping I could get it before the deadline to accept this grant, which I have until July 23rd
Mhm.
to accept or deny the grant. But, hoping maybe that we could get it by then. But I'm just going by what we're talking to. He said, you know, roughly probably have to add 100,000 to.
So the 190 that you did receive or was awarded, it can, the 190 cannot be all applied to here? Or is it?
Not just one station. It's supposed to be split between the two.
Okay.
So the one, whatever.
That's what I thought. I was just clarifying.
Really, we're okay when we're other, because he said he wanted to use his fire tax, right?
He said he could use it.
He said he could.
Could.
I thought he was
It's-
dying to use his
It's
fire
tough,
tax.
it's tough for me to vote on that, though.
No, I think that would be what fire tax is.
No. Well, we could possibly maybe half fire tax out, general fund.
So I was thinking.
Once you get all your costs to come back, it's needed, it needs to be done. If we were to put that money in the other station,
That was gonna be my next
That's
question.
my
I mean,
next
since
question,
there's
too.
nothing that's there right now, and you know, there's a lot of things that need to be at that station. I know there's been some conversations, I know Dr. Holt has left, but I mean, some other conversations, you know, around, so I just don't know where those conversations are now.
They're on a 5-year plan
Okay.
at the very, very bottom.
Okay.
yeah, it's been kicked around for years.
Yeah, just because I mean, I know the Burnham station needs a lot.
Yeah, and I'm fixing to hit you over the new roof, new installation.
That's where I knew it was
Looking
coming,
at
yeah.
A little over 100.
Any other
Numbers,
questions?
no.
Yeah, just numbers and see.
So you want me to wait till July 23rd before we accept for try?
When do you think you'll get some more ironclad numbers?
I'm hoping soon, but you know, they're not from around here, they have to come here to do it, but, maybe I could wait till at least next council meeting.
That's what I was gonna ask, if you don't mind, wait till the end, see if you do get any additional information, then we'll
What,
move
July
forward.
10th?
We'll have to the 23rd to
Yeah.
accept or deny. If we do deny the grant, we still owe the grant.
Mhm. Hate to not use the grant. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mark?
Hope y'all have all been by and seen City Hall lately.
Yeah.
It's moving on well.
Ooh. That's the additional.
One of the topics of conversation is the, concrete retaining wall that goes along the south and the east.
Yeah.
The contract, we had asked the contractor what it might cost to actually brick that wall instead of it just being exposed concrete. And if you'll look at the first page, that top photo, if you start bricking the wall out at church and then go along the south wall around to the corner of the building, you can see what that cost is. Then if you look at the next picture, to continue bricking along the rear of the building, You can see what that cost is.
Oh.
So it's, and then at the bottom is the grand total. And then if you look at the second page, that's just kind of
Brick in the wall.
a close-up of what the brick looks like along the back. And then the wall would actually have a top cap above the brick. It would be wider than what's shown in that photograph because that wall's about 12 inches wide. So the top cap would actually be a little wider than what this picture indicates.
But also on the top of that wall, we'll have a 4-foot black vinyl
There will
fence.
be a 4-foot high black vinyl coated chain link fence
And
that's
also,
mounted to the top of the wall.
and trees and shrubs
Yeah.
and,
But, Mr. Taylor and I talked the other day that we just wanted to bring this to y'all and just get
they,
y'all.
they need to know, I'm sorry, Mark, didn't
They're
I
only
interrupt?
they're holding the price until,
It's supposed to be today.
yeah,
But they need to know the brick, the brick, the man laying the bricks there, and once he's gone, he's gone. I just wanted to get your personal feelings on it. I have my
I'm a
feelings, but I
no.
want to hear yours first.
I'm a no.
Okay. And it's something, we don't have to vote on it other than the mayor can just, I mean, that's part of the project.
Yeah.
Just want to know if we want to brick it or not.
I get the aesthetics that it will bring.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
it's aesthetics at a price.
yeah.
And here's the whole thing too, if you do happen to go by the job site, you're gonna see that that wall has a little bit of staining and all.
Yeah.
It will be the contractor's responsibility to pressure wash it, do whatever they've gotta do to, wherever it's been stained, they've gotta correct it. Even if they have to put another coat on it, you know, they
Yeah,
went through
see.
and did a scratch coat on it. So even if they had to do that again, so. You know, the wall, I mean, to me aesthetically, it's actually turned out better than I thought it was. And I think once we do put the fence on the top and we get all of our landscaping in place, you know,
Will there be landscaping on the lower end?
okay, the upper picture here, okay, this is what I'm envisioning where the employee parking would be.
Mhm.
There's about 15 parking spaces. There's actually an island between the wall and the curb. It's about 4 feet wide. But the plan right now is only to put river rock in it. They're just afraid because of the combination of the asphalt and the wall, it's gonna stay so hot that it might be
Yeah, cook it.
difficult to get vegetation to grow, but there is an island right there. But, you know, you can, I mean, that's just what they said. They felt like it's gonna be too hot. At some point in time, we could always maybe try to soften it up with some shrubbery.
Well, with the parking, and also the dumpster will be back in this corner also.
And there is some landscaping that actually gets tucked to the right side out in that corner. There is a little bit of landscaping right there.
I would even think you, chance of ivy or something.
Yeah,
That
I
was
even thought
discussed at
about it,
one
if
time.
you could get ivy started at the top and let
Yeah,
it
that's what I was
cascade
gonna
over.
let it,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know.
What about for the plant, if it's, the vegetation won't do, what about a huge planter with plants in the planter? And that could bring color.
That's, yeah,
Mm.
and there may be some kind of a drip irrigation system that
Yes.
could be added to them or whatever,
Mhm.
yeah.
So is it the consensus, no brick?
That's a lot of money.
Well,
They just pitched it as a,
Well, originally, that might be my fault.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying, I said it might be my fault originally.
Okay.
Is that, you know, when they first initially, the wall, and then the building wasn't there, and they did return, it looked horrible. You know, and they come back a couple different times and kind of smoothed it out. That's actually behind the building looks pretty nice. There's some stainage and some mud, but that can be wiped off. And there's some areas here.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to come back, and personally, either what we want to do in the future, if we brick it, we're confined to the brick. We won't be able to ever do anything else with it. You know, even if we want to paint it or do some artwork
Some
on there,
stains, paint.
stain, I mean,
And my biggest fear-
$2,000 every couple of years instead of $130,000.
And my biggest fear, if we brick it, it might compete with the building.
I think it'd be a
It's a
little
lot of
mono.
brick in one area.
Right, there'd be a lot, it'd be monochromatic, and you just would just kind of, the building itself would fade into the wall.
Did you get a price for just a little edge of brick going?
Well, actually, one of the things that I actually talked to the architect about was not necessarily brick in the whole wall. You know how the building has got
Yeah, it's got
the
that
bump
outside,
outs?
yeah.
We call them pilasters.
Yeah.
I had asked them about maybe putting pilasters
To bring it
ever
in.
so often,
Yeah.
just to kind of give it a little depth. But architect didn't seem like just doing a brick pilaster would look good at all,
Mhm.
so. But I must admit, this is a lot of money. for-
It's too much,
Yeah.
right.
Thanks, y'all.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mark. Thank you, Mark. Any other business? Have Dr. Brown here. Dr. Brown, if you'd like to come up to the podium. He's interested in selling us some property. The mayor and I met with him a week or so ago, and just thought he would come in and share, and there's no decision to be made tonight, but just hear him out, and then we can meet. If we do decide to do anything like this, we'd probably have to go into executive session to discuss it. Evening, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to discuss some property in Eastwood on, one is, 807 Drake Street, which the mayor and I have talked about. And the other address is a lot right next to that. And I've given the chairman there a copy as well as the mayor of the property here. Now, one's a vacant lot, okay, and that's the one that's number 19. And number 18, there's a house, sitting on it that needs to be probably demolished. But directly behind that piece is what you call it, the 8th housing area,
Mhm.
okay? And so that would be something that I think the city could do, was put maybe even 2 years or more on those pieces of property there. And so that's, one piece is in my name, and then the other is in my name and along with my 2 sisters, who both live in Georgia. But they've kind of given me the responsibility of getting this problem resolved if we can. So, I didn't want to directly go to some type of person that would build that kind of housing. I would rather that the city purchase it for me, and then they can decide, you all can decide who you would like to build that type of housing, because it would bring some income, obviously, into the city that I think the other. And there are still quite a few residents that I think are looking for that type of housing here in Jacksonville, especially in that community area.
Mhm.
So I'm here today to discuss that and see what the council thinks about it. And then you can let me know about your decision. It's not something that has to be decided today, but I'd like to get it resolved before the next tax issues on those vacant properties come up. Although we are current on those, I believe. And so, you can discuss the matter in your closed session and just get back to me. I'll give you my, cell phone number, because I don't think it's listed on here anywhere, but you don't need that.
Well, we are recorded, unless you want everyone to, for your cell number to be out on YouTube.
Be getting offers before you get-
I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. I would suggest, if you do not want your cell number out for everyone, not to, you can privately give it to, but we have it already. I mean, the mayor's office has your number.
Yeah.
Now, we had mentioned in the meeting, I apologize, you have or have not discussed this with the housing authority, since this one property does back up to the housing authority?
No, I just discussed it with the mayor, and I think you.
Yes, sir.
had that
I couldn't remember. Once again, I apologize.
But, no, I didn't know that I needed to talk to you about. So that's why I came here, to get a little more information and direction is needed. And, if you do need to talk to them, we can do that, and we can get some paperwork to the housing authority.
and I don't really want to get into the numbers, but I know you also, I think you said you were going to ask the appraised value, the county appraised value for the properties. And I don't need a number. I don't want to do anything like that. It's just, are you negotiable on the price if we were to get to that point?
Yes.
Okay, that's really all I needed. I didn't need anything else. Okay. We're good? Any questions for Dr. Brown?
I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for bringing this, and we will get back with you. We'll discuss this, and we'll let you know what our
Also
decision.
spoke to the mayor about the property on 0 Henry Road. That's a big for sale sign up there
Mhm.
by the road. But we would like to get that back to the city because we purchased it about 24 years ago when I first came back here and started practicing. And we were gonna build a new office over there. But since I have done very well in the office that I currently have there in First Avenue, that we don't think, since I'm now pretty close to retired, or sometimes say semi-retired, I'll probably be selling that piece of property next. That I would like for the council to consider that piece of property too. And we can negotiate on that also, because when you look back at the records from 20-some years ago, it was not as valued as it is now, because the hospital nursing center is there now. And it could be used for additional parking for that facility. That's one of the things that we were thinking about. There's a few trees in there, and other than that tower there with the water supply, which we don't go back that far onto the city's property.
Mhm.
But we would certainly be interested in the city taking that piece of property back over if they decide that they wanted to do some expansions with
Okay.
it. Okay?
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And if there's no other questions, we won't leave you stranded. We'll let you know what we've decided. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Brown, I got one question. Have you ever talked to the Habitat for Humanity? I know they purchase land and things, and we have 2 Habitat homes here in Jacksonville.
We got a lot of habitat homes here.
That, I mean, the recent ones
Yeah,
that I
the two
know
that
of,
we
the
just had, the
2.
Francis and.
Yeah,
Well,
and I know
give
they
me the
purchased.
contact information.
I will.
then
I'll
I
get
can
you.
do
Yeah.
that. Yes.
We do, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
you.
Anything else need to come for the council? All right, we'll adjourn and start back at 7 o'clock. Thank you all.
Thank you.
City of Jacksonville Council meeting. This is date June 26th of 2023. I'd like to ask you all to please stand while we have the invocation by Reverend Jim Wilson from the RNC, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Lord, I'm grateful for these folks who make our city run, who invest the time that is needed to make decisions about so many different things. I thank you, Lord, for the work they've already done and for the decisions that are going to be officially made now. And so I pray that those will be good and helpful decisions as we go forward in our community. Lord, thank you for a good day. Give us a good week. We ask it in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Wilson? Ms. Laster?
Here.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
All right, item 5 is the adoption of the minutes. We discussed that in work session. Any other comments concerning? Second. A motion and a second. Any other? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Adoption of the agenda, then we have some additions and deletions.
And we do. To the main agenda, add item 12A, consider action to approve the employment of the following: Kennedy Michael Laster, part-time corrections officer, range 9, effective upon compliance with ordinance number 273 due to the resignation of Edward Pruitt. Item 12B, consider action to approve the reclassification of the following. Item A is Howard H. Bishop III, school resource officer, range 18, effective June 28, 2023, due to the retirement of John C. Manners. Item B is Robert J. Colvin, firefighter paramedic, range 11A, effective June 28, 2023, due to obtaining required paramedic license. Add to the main agenda, item 12C is consider action to approve the promotion of the following: Emily Smith, inventory and account specialist, range 14, effective June 28, 2023, due to the retirement of Penelope Hine. And then finally, amend item 20, consider action to delete the executive session and adjourn.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 7 is proclamations, so we do not have any. Item 8 is public comments concerning any agenda item. Anyone like to come forward and discuss the agenda? Seeing no one come forward, moving on to item 9.
Public hearing regarding the restaurant liquor license of Socrates Incorporated, doing business as Calhoun Steakhouse, located at 813 Pelham Road South, Jacksonville, change of ownership.
Sorry, apologize. Public hearing is now open concerning the liquor license for Calhoun Steakhouse. Anyone like to come forward? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing. Item 10.
Consider action to approve the on-premises malt beverage, table wine, and restaurant liquor license of Socrates Incorporated, doing business as Calhoun Steakhouse, located at 813 Pelham Road South, Jacksonville, change of ownership.
Do I have a motion?
First reading? Is this first reading?
No, we had a public hearing now. So I need a motion to.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 11.
Consideration of ordinance number 0-647-23, amending a portion of section 19-81, chapter 19, solid waste, article 4, trash collections of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Jacksonville, Alabama, received first reading June 12, 2023.
So moved. I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 12.
Consider action to approve the amended job description of inventory and account specialist, range 14, per the attached.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 12.
12A is consider action to approve the employment of the following: Kennedy Michael Laster, part-time corrections officer, range 9, effective upon compliance with ordinance number 273, due to the resignation of Edward Pruitt.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion?
I abstain.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Have one abstain. Motion carries. Item 12B.
Consider action to approve the reclassification of the following. Item A is Howard H. Bishop III, School Resource Officer, range 18, effective June 28, 2023, due to the retirement of John C. Manners. And item B is Robert J. Colvin, firefighter paramedic, range 11A, effective June 28, 2023, due to obtaining required paramedic license.
So moved. Motion and second, any discussion?
Second.
Got the second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 12C.
Consider action to approve the promotion of the following: Emily Smith, inventory and account specialist, range 14, effective June 28, 2023, due to the retirement of Penelope Hine.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Consent agenda.
Item 13, budget amendment request. Item 14, purchases over $7,500. Item 15, disposition of surplus property.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 16 is public comments on any general item. Anyone like to approach the council? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on to council member remarks. I would just say, and I thank Reverend Wilson for coming in and giving the invocation. Just please, you notice we have absence, the mayor is absent tonight. Just please continue to be in prayer for him and his family. Anyone else? All right, in place of the mayor, I believe Ms. Burke is going to give us the mayor's report.
So, first item up, of course, is Jack Fest. That is happening July 3rd, which is next Monday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We will be here at the Public Safety Complex and over at the pond. Fireworks will occur at 9 p.m. So looking forward to that. And then, of course, the following day, which is Tuesday, is 4th of July. City offices will be closed on that day. Last item is just a reminder, summer reading program is coming to a close. They've had a really successful time, over 516 participants, and that includes the children, teens, and adults there. Over 7,700 books have been read. So kudos to the library staff and all of the kids and parents and teens that have come out and participated.
Just a side note on that, on Jack's Fest, are we gonna post anything about parking, help with all that, if we haven't already started?
Yes, sir, we're finalizing that tomorrow with Ben, and then we'll likely release it tomorrow evening or Wednesday morning.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, anything else? Any other business? Anything else that comes before the council? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Y'all have a great evening.